Hey you all, this is Miss Norris. I am making this video so that you can learn a little bit about the three main groups of rocks that are involved in the rock cycle. Now we're not going to talk about the actual ins and outs of the rock cycle today. It's too much for this video. So if you want to go onto the website, go under the student tab and then go into our projects tab, you can see a really good illustration of the rock cycle, and we'll go into more depth and detail about it at a later time. But today we're just gonna show you a couple of different rocks, and then we're also going to talk about the difference between a rock and a mineral, because that's a huge difference and it's not anything that you want to be confused about. So let's go ahead and start. So there's three main groups of rocks that are in the rock cycle. That's going to be igneous rocks, which is what we're looking at. And there's also sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. So let's go ahead and start with igneous rocks. Okay, so igneous rocks form when magma or lava cool to a solid form, either glass or masses of tightly intergrown mineral crystals. The crystals are large if they had a long time to grow in a slowly cooling magma, and they are small if they formed quickly in a rapidly cooling lava. So if you think about it, something cools quickly, then it's going to have smaller, tiny little crystals, and then if it slows really cool, it's got lots of time to make big crystals, and it's easier to kind of tell which minerals are in the rock. So first, let's start with basalt. This is basalt, and it is actually a really important rock. It's one of the most important, and let me tell you why. Basalt makes up most of the oceanic crust. I mean, it's a very dense rock, and it makes up some of the continental crust too, but it mainly is oceanic crust. Granite here, these are two different types of granite. And you can see how these, this is what I'm talking about. It cools slowly, so you can see the big crystals formation. You can see the different minerals we have going on in granite here. Quartz, feldspar, some mica. So you're seeing all these different minerals. So that cools slowly. And also granite makes up a large portion of the continental crust. Obsidian is another igneous rock. And as you can see, it's shiny and glass-like. It's also called volcanic glass or volcano glass because it's formed whenever the lava or magma cools really, really quickly. So that's how that's made. Now let's move on to the next group of rock. Okay, sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks form mostly when mineral crystals and clasts, which are broken pieces and like fragments of plants, animals, mineral crystals, or rocks, are compressed or like naturally cemented together. They also form when mineral crystals precipitate from water to form a rocky mass, such as rock salt or cave stalactites. And whenever I talk about rock salt, that's one of our things right here is rock salt. And I want you to not confuse it with the mineral halite, because they're not the same thing. Halite is what makes up rock salt. It's about anywhere from 90 to 98% is what rock salt is. Halite makes up 90 to 98% of it. The other portion you might see in there is you might see gypsum or quartz, something like that. It's kind of like a pinkish color. You can see, and so that might be gypsum in there. But that's a sedimentary rock, and then we want to look at sandstone. You can see the different layers. It's pressed, naturally cemented together, so that kind of shows you right there about sandstone. We have shale, which you can kind of see the layers in that too. And just to note, it's very light. It's not a very super dense rock. And then we have fossiliferous limestone, which is really cool because, I mean, look at the way it sounds, fossils, because it is actually a biochemical rock, because if you look at it, you can see it has like bio, like fossils, which would be bio living or once living, and then chemical because it's got it's like a carbonate rock that, I mean, mineral that also makes it up, which would be like maybe calcite or something might make it up, which is a carbonate mineral. And so those are sedimentary rocks. Now, the last one, the third one, is going to be metamorphic rocks. So, metamorphic rocks are rocks deformed or changed from one form to another. So they're transformed by intense heat, intense pressure, and or the action of hot fluids. So this causes the rock to recrystallize, fracture, change color, and or flow. So as the rock flows, flat layers are folded and the mineral crystals are aligned like parallel needles or scales. So with that being said, let's look at this first one. This is gneiss. The G is silent here. It's how you pronounce it, is gneiss. And you can see like the different, let's zoom in this way. You can see the different layers. You can see how it was kind of folded. So, I mean, that was like some intense pressure they had going on there to make that. Also, we have marble, which you should all be pretty familiar with. If you want to think about marble, you can think about a lot of old tombstones were made out of marble. I wouldn't really say too many recently. Also, monuments, stuff like that. Marble was a common rock that things were made out of, but chemical weathering really can take a toll on it. And that's a conversation for a different discussion here. And then we have slate. And you can see slate's cool. A lot of people use slate. It's a decorative rock, you could say. You can use it for a floor. It's a nice rock. But you can see it has like, you can see like the planes, the cleavage plane on here. You can almost like peel it off. And then we have quartzite, which is, contains the mineral quartz, just like it sounds, but it's a metamorphic rock, so it's got other things in there. And then we have anthracite coal, which is really super interesting, because a lot of people think of coal, they think of fossil fuel, they think of stuff like that, and that is true, but this is the only coal that is actually a metamorphic rock. Most coals are sedimentary rocks. But so that's really cool about it. Now let's just discuss really super quick about the difference between minerals and rocks, because there is a difference, and actually a huge difference. So minerals are not the same as rocks. Let's all say that together. Not the same as rocks. Minerals make up rocks. So rocks might have several different minerals in them. Like for instance, let's take, halite. So you see this is salt. Like this is just salt. The chemical name is sodium chloride. So and it makes up rock salt that we just saw, the sedimentary rock salt. It makes it up. Along with like a small percentage of maybe quartz right here. It's a mineral, not a rock. It's a mineral. Maybe some other things I don't have here, but so let's put quartz and halite together just for namesake, and just that's what could make rock salt. Now, like potassium feldspar, that is in granite. So quartz and potassium feldspar, those are things that are in granite that we saw, and you can actually see the different ones. So like, let's pull this granite back over here. Let's look really close at that. You can see the different, like the pinkish is going to be the feldspar, and then like the whitish might be the quartz. You also have the black, which is probably mica, or it might be something else, but it's probably mica. So that's really cool to understand that minerals are, you put different minerals together and they go through the process of the rock cycle and they make different rocks, igneous rocks, metamorphic rocks, and sedimentary rocks. So, and then you have calcite, which is what makes up marble, along with other things, but that's one of the main things. And you can look at them and they look a lot alike. They are different in ways, however, definitely. I mean, because calcite is the one, just one of the minerals that makes marble up. But that just kind of goes to show you that minerals, several different minerals, usually make up one rock, and they become that one rock through different processes in the rock cycle. So that's all I got for today, guys. I hope everyone enjoyed it and gained lots of knowledge.